think we're week 13.
Oh, good. Yes, that sounds right.
So I think we're week 13 now. So yeah, we've gone over the 3 months, which is really good. So welcome everyone to what we've just discussed as being episode 13. Tonight might be a short one, depending on how the discussion goes. Now, because of tonight's subject being what's happened last week at Parkdale Secondary College, I want to reiterate again how much we support and actually really don't give a shit. No, with it, I'll rephrase that. We support LGBTQ community. We don't give a shit what you are. You're human first. And I want to point this out because of what did happen at Parkdale Secondary College. Now, if nobody knows, and pardon my pun, but oops, it's happened again. But it wasn't the school this time, and I do want to forcibly put that out there. This was not the school. This was a youth worker that worked for Kingston Council, from what information I could get from the news. So what had happened is this youth worker went, and I believe they were giving a presentation about, I'm going to get the word wrong. I've got the word wrong in my head, but about including everyone equally. So it didn't matter what skin color you are, what race, what religion, what sexual orientation.
Inclusiveness and diversity, I think,
yes.
I think how they phrased it.
Now, this only happened to, I don't know whether it was one class or just 1 year, but it was year 11. And they didn't just pick on all the males like they did at Broward College. They picked on white male Christians. So we're talking about sexist, racist, and prejudice against religion, or against Christianity.
I think that's more accurate, actually. I suspect it's prejudice against Christianity rather than against religion in general. Right.
So these boys had to stand up, and they didn't have to give an apology, but she wanted to, this youth worker wanted to point out that these boys, these white Christian boys, were privileged. And somehow or another, everybody else at that school, the girls, the boys that might have been a different skin color or might have been of a different religion, weren't privileged. And they were all at the same school, so they were all learning the same stuff. They all had the same textbooks. They when they leave school, from what I believe in my head, they've all got the same opportunities. Because if somebody doesn't hire somebody because of skin color, because of gender, because of religion, they're idiots. But it's not, you're not privileged because you're a white Christian male. Okay, there's idiots in the world. I might not get hired. I mean, I've got a job and I'm not leaving it, but I wouldn't get hired for laying bricks. Not because I'm a female, but because I'm overweight and I'm lazy, and I'd move one brick and go, yeah, I'm going to call it a day.
And it's also a skill that it's actually hard to lay bricks if you don't know how.
Exactly. And trust me, I don't know how.
Me either.
I know how to clean. I'm not a good house cleaner. Trust me. This is why you're seeing this much of me and not this much of me. So I'm not going to be hired as a cleaner. It's a skill, and it's not because I'm not getting hired because I'm not skilled for that job. And if somebody who is skilled for that job, regardless of skin color, religion, sexual orientation, gender, non-gender, whatever you are, if you're skilled for that job and don't get hired for it, and somebody who isn't skilled for that job does get hired for it, it's actually illegal. Yes. Well, I don't know if it's illegal, but...
Yes, it is. It's illegal with very few exceptions. Very few exceptions.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that for me. So what this youth worker has done has victimized everybody else in the class, as if to say, here's your free victim card. But at the same time, she created victims out of these white Christian males. And I want to point out that they were scared to say anything because they didn't want to come across as homophobic. That's why I made the speech at the beginning.
And that's a very, very widely occurring problem, in fact, where people want to say certain things, but they're afraid they'll be called homophobic or classified with some other term that could harm their ability, harm their employment options in the future, even.
Yeah, and it shouldn't. Like, if anybody who's watching this is actually on my personal Facebook, I put up a post last night, and I basically said, it doesn't matter if you're white, black, yellow, blue, green, pink. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Jewish, Church of Flying Spaghetti. That is a real church, by the way.
May his noodly appendage bless you.
I'm assuming I can say thank you. It doesn't matter whether you're straight, gay, bi, transgender, drag. Actually, I really support you for drag because I've been binge watching Drag Race like crazy. And it doesn't matter whether you're male, female, binary, non-binary. We might not all agree with these. We might not all support these, but what we should do is respect these. We all bleed red. We all feel. We all love. We all hate. We all cry. We all feel something. The rest, everything else, is fundamentals. So to make this youth worker, and the same with Jane Boyle, the principal from Broward College, I stand by what I say, and it's not about cancel culture with these two people. They are in a position where they've got an authority, and to have that authority and force their opinion on young children, and in year 11 you're still a young child, in my opinion, now that I'm old. Back when I was in year 11 I thought I knew everything, but they're still impressionable.
Yeah, but in fact I'd say it's even beyond an opinion, it's an ideology that they're
exactly pushing. And they're pushing their own personal one. They're not pushing it because it's part of an actual structured agenda where it's like, this is what we're going to discuss. What was actually forced upon these boys was this person's narrative.
Yes. As you noted before, go on. Yep.
Go ahead.
As you noted before, the school was not behind this. That's what the media reports are saying. They were shocked. Apparently, they've launched an investigation into this. One media report claimed that parents apparently had previously vetted this program and it didn't contain this. That's the claim, and that this has been added after it was vetted by the parents.
Yeah. No, nobody knew. And there was girls in the class that thought it was a joke. And then when they realized it was serious, it was like, okay, for you and me and for anybody in our world, it was literally not again. How could you do it? We're talking about a month since Broward College. 1 month.
Is there anybody?
Could you be so stupid?
Is there anybody who can deny there's still a problem? As I've said before, I always used to hear misandry is not a thing. Well, does anyone want to say that to me now? Misandry is real. It's always been here. It's got a lot worse. This is a real problem we're facing, and it's time for people to stop denying.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect the entire society, not just men. Women will not be better off in a world where men have failed. And believe me, a lot of people don't believe us yet, but men are disengaging. They're just walking away. That's the thing about men. Go on.
You're right. But they're walking away from everything. They're
Families,
not
jobs.
they're not just. It's not that they're seeing a problem and going, "It's none of my business. I'm walking away from it." They're walking away from what could be potentially the love of their lives because they don't want to be seen, or that, the word, like they're walking away from relationships. They're just doing it by themselves.
They're seeing a lot of older men destroyed through the family courts, alienated from their children, paying for children they can't see. They're seeing all of these things, and they're correctly surmising that this is not a road they want to go down. They want to learn from the mistakes of others. And feminists often talked about a backlash. They thought there'd be a backlash from third wave feminism. They didn't understand the male psyche. When faced with hostility from women, the vast majority of men will simply walk away. They won't even tell you there's a problem. And that's what they're doing en masse. And it's a problem for all of us. Because I'll tell you something else too. And this is something most people don't know, but there's plenty of evidence to support this. There's a great study that came out of New Zealand, other information that's available. The society is principally maintained by the excess work put in by men in the first half of their working lives. That's what it amounts to. So it's young men putting in extra effort that's basically building society. And so men later in life obviously slow down a bit, but that's the group that's doing it. If they walk away, we cannot sustain the society we have.
Oops.
Right there? No earthquakes?
No. I'm still in my bedroom, so I'm very balanced here.
There was a study that came out of New Zealand a few years ago, which I could post, and it found that men were revenue neutral across their lives. Women weren't in New Zealand. So they were essentially the only reason that the system is sustaining as it is at the moment is through growth and through the hard work, particularly of young men who are working very hard building the society. If they walk away, that's it. We're done. Oh, the train's coming. Right. No problem.
Sorry. The train just went through, and it was for the first time since I've worked from my bedroom. It was making a noise. I want to actually put this out there that and I think I said it during the Broward College one, if you're at school, if you're at work and somebody of influence makes you do something like this, if you're at school, don't do it. Okay? Just don't do it. Trust me, you'll have so much backup behind you. If at work, go to the HR department, because they cannot forcibly make you do this on their ideology. It's a personal ideology. Yes. I don't go into work and because of my beliefs, I don't go into work and I don't go, you can't talk to him like that because he's a male, right? You've got to treat him with respect. They know what I do. In fact, I think a majority of the people that I work with know what I do outside of work, but I don't go in preaching it. I don't go in going, bloody feminists piss me off, blah, blah, blah. Well, actually I do, but it's usually within a group of people and I'm laughing about it. But I don't preach to people at work.
On that topic, there's a US company, I don't have the name to hand, they've just announced apparently non-work conversations about politics, but in particular woke conversations have become such a problem that it's affecting productivity, and they've now banned political discussions in the workplace, and the company won't be commenting on anything related to politics unless it specifically relates to the company's operations. And I think it's absolutely fantastic because there are many cases where woke people will happily pontificate in the workplace, and everyone else has to just apparently sit and listen. So I hope more companies pick this up. I will find the name of the company.
Well, we actually aren't allowed to, because whoever doesn't know, I work for a super fund. So because we're basically a financial company, we're not allowed to talk about politics. So when I was on the phones to members, I made a political joke about a certain politician. And I can't remember what I said, but I was pulled up for it because the member I was speaking to could have taken offense if they were part of that, if they supported that particular politician. And I thought, actually, that's fair enough. My fault. Took it on the chin. Not a problem. But it's since been brought up that we aren't, especially since we're still working from home. So a lot of our chats are on a chat, not face to face.
Like a text chat, you mean?
Yeah, and we're not even allowed to talk about our beliefs in there. If it's on an open forum. If it was just between you and me, for example, whatever's said that we're just having a conversation. But I can't force my opinions onto you.
Well, that sounds like your workplace is taking the road. That's certainly the way I'd like to see it. And there's a lot of workplaces where they're not enforcing those rules. Certainly, it's interesting. It's somewhat generational too. I'm closing in on 50, as I've said. And it just wouldn't. I just wouldn't express my political opinions in that context in a workplace. It's just not. I wouldn't consider it to be appropriate. But certainly, some woke activists have certainly thought it's okay up to this point. So times could be changing.
Well, I'm hoping it is. If we see it done, we have the choice of either, excuse me, either ignoring it, or we can, that's up to us, or we actually can put in a formal complaint if we feel it's crossing a line. I'm so very lucky to work for the company I work for, and I'm not going to mention its name because I don't think I'm allowed to. But
that's a good idea.
We've got different religions, we've got different cultures, we've got different races, we're about 50-50 male and female. We've got gay, bi, transgender. I'm sure we've got a couple of drag queens in there. In fact, I think one Christmas I got dressed up and I look like Divine. So, you could have called me a drag queen then. We've actually got a very open-minded company that we work for. And as long as we come into work dressed neat and casual, as long as we work professionally, don't care about the rest. And this is what I mean earlier. Everything else is fundamentals. What you do outside, what you do outside of me, is none of my business.
And this is, well, that has been a mainstream position in Australia, particularly for a long time. Western society, particularly since the 1980s, has been generally very tolerant. And this has become more so. And I think, unfortunately, now we've turned around and we're becoming less tolerant again, although it's against different groups of people than it was before. But Australia in particular has really been a classless society for various reasons that apparently go right back to settlement in Sydney town with the convicts. And so we've had a fairly, not had this classism, and we've had a very tolerant society. And now, particularly within the last 10 years, although it goes back further, but particularly within the last 10 years, we've started to see this intolerance coming in. Interestingly, with the guise of tolerance. So they use the language of inclusion and tolerance, but they're intolerant and they exclude. And it really doesn't, all you have to do is listen to them. You can hear it.
Yeah, but just like this youth worker did.
That's right.
Talking about tolerance, but she showed her lack of a diversity by singling out white male Christians.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I want to say something before we go on, actually. I want to make it clear. I'm not a Christian. I haven't been a Christian since I was a teenager. I won't go into it beyond that. But I find it really offensive the way that people treat Christians today. I really do. So I just want to say, I don't want to make it clear it's not just me being a Christian saying that. I'm not a Christian. But I'm really quite concerned about the level of prejudice we're seeing against Christianity. Western societies is founded, modern Western society is founded on the notion of religious freedom and religious tolerance, and that is not being extended to Christians. Some years ago, there was an attack on a church at Easter, and two important American politicians both used the same term, Easter worshippers, which I thought was a really interesting term to use. And I do have Christian friends. Some of my Christian friends picked up on it too. Easter worshippers. They weren't Christians that were attacked. They were people that were worshipping at Easter. Now, I wonder who would be worshipping at Easter. But they wouldn't say it. And it's because it's not politically correct to admit that people will attack Christians for being religious, for being Christians. And that's exactly what's happening.
So this is basically going down the same track of Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. And
yes, very good example. Thank you. Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. I say Merry Christmas as a point. I'm not a Christian, but our society is steeped in Judeo-Christian traditions.
But, oh God, I'm forgetting words again. It's Wednesday night. What's the Jewish Christmas period called? Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah, so, Hanukkah. Yeah.
And I'm going to use this for an example, and it's only because I've actually seen discussions of this with Jewish people, where if they have a Christian come up to them and say, Merry Christmas, they actually love it and see it as a form of respect because they're showing love to this person by saying that. They then in turn turn around and say Happy Hanukkah, and the Christian person accepts that and loves that because they see it as a term of endearment and love because they're sharing each other's religions.
That's right, and it's tolerance. It's absolute tolerance. That's exactly right. In fact, I travelled in Israel when I was a younger man and really enjoyed it. And a number of Israelis actually at Christmas wished me a Merry Christmas, which I thought was really lovely. But, yeah.
I don't think, and I think the people that are trying to change this are the people that are not of any other religion. It's not the Muslims, it's not the Jews, it's not the Buddhists, it's none of these religions. And it's not Christianity, it's not the Christians. It's the people that aren't even religious that are finding it offensive. And it's like, if you're not finding it offensive, if you're finding it offensive, don't support it. Don't take Christmas Day off. Don't take Good Friday off. Work all these Christian holidays if you don't support it. I am sure the company will be quite happy to find you work for that day.
Increasing number of jobs that workplaces actually do have people working on holidays, so that's why people certainly can do so if they want to.
So I'm like, if you have a problem with it, if you have a problem with Christianity, if you have a problem with religion, no matter what it is, it's like the Happy Father's Day. It was a small minority of people that didn't support Father's Day, saying every day is Father's Day. It's not.
And just to remind those who haven't forgotten, in Australia, of course, we had some calls for Special Persons Day.
Yeah, but it was a small minority. It was the extreme left-wing feminists that had a problem with it. It wasn't feminism. It wasn't the cafe feminists. It wasn't the first two waves of feminism. We're talking wave 3 and up. Had a problem with fathers getting this special. People wanted to mention the LGBTQ community. They didn't have a problem with Father's Day.
That's right. I just want to add, I have always said the vast majority of feminists, I think, are perfectly reasonable people, but I want to clarify, I also think the vast majority of feminists haven't investigated feminism. So if you call yourself a feminist, I would encourage you to investigate the ideology you're identifying with. If somebody tells me they're a feminist, I have to understand that in the context of what I understand about feminism, not what they understand about feminism.
Well, I think a lot of them... I had a discussion with people the other day about our best friend Clementine Ford on all the tweets that she's put up of, I hate men, kill all men are rapists, put all men on an island, all that sort of crap. And when I pointed this out to them, they said, oh, just imagine the crap she cops. And it's like, it doesn't give her permission to say that.
That's right.
Because if 10 men verbally abuse her or put a horrible tweet out there, she's then retaliating by saying all men.
It's also, by the way, only a tiny, tiny proportion of the people who she has pissed off with her rhetoric.
Yeah. So
the vast majority simply don't say anything.
Oh God, I haven't. I think she's blocked me from her page because I showed how hypocrisy works, and then she blocked me from the page. I can still see it, but I can't comment. So it's like same with Cheryl Moody. I've annoyed a lot of feminists, but we wanted to keep it short. And guess what? We've gone for nearly 30 minutes. So. Well, just before we cut off, I want to remind people this is what's happened at Parkdale Secondary College. Wasn't the school's fault. It was this youth worker that works for the council, I believe. A lot of information I haven't got. I'm not 100% right up.
I suspect they either work for the council or were engaged by the council.
Exactly.
The council certainly involved in some manner. Yep.
But I said, just as I said with the principal at Broward College and this youth worker, it's not about cancel culture. I just don't think they should be in that position to influence our kids on their way of thinking and their beliefs.
Exactly. Jane Boyle, I think, she apologised for what happened in that she suggested that was inappropriate, but my understanding is she stands by the underlying belief system that was encouraged there.
It was like we went about it the wrong way. No, you were just 100% wrong, sweetheart. You should not. But nothing's happened. She didn't even. I don't even think she got a slap on the wrist.
No, Jane Boyle, by the way, is the principal of Broward.
Yeah, these people, like these influencers, keep on getting slaps on the wrist. Like,
or in this case, perhaps less.
It's got to stop, because if I say something wrong, I get freaking racked through the freaking hot coals for it. But these feminist beliefs and they just keep on going, no, you're okay, naughty, naughty, naughty. It's like you're yelling at it like a 3-year-old.
Well, Broward College has got a permanent wiki page on Wiki for Men now, which they didn't have before. So we've recorded the information. That's what we do a lot on Wiki for Men. It's a lot of it is about archiving this information, which is otherwise so easily forgotten, particularly today's 24-hour news cycle. This new incident as well was getting a wiki page. But I wish Parkdale Secondary College the best in finding out what happened and making sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and I actually want to thank the school for putting in a formal complaint. But instead of just going, oh, it shouldn't have happened and it was wrong, I'm actually happy that they've gone further as a school because of what happened to Brower College and say, no, this is wrong. We know it's wrong. We want to do something about it. So no other boy, no other white boy, and no other white Christian boy has to go through this again.
Exactly. And I guess my final comment would be just to say that we've built in Western civilization the most prosperous, stable, egalitarian society that has ever existed in the world at any time, and it's really in danger at the moment. If we don't turn it around, we're going to lose it, and what we end up with will not be as good. And that goes for men, women, everybody.
Yeah. I just want to know how the world sees Victoria, and I mean the world, after what happened at Brower College, and now again.
Well, I can tell you how I see Victoria. As I've said before, I was born in Victoria. I call Melbourne the SJW capital of the world and have for 70 years.
It's embarrassing.
There's a reason Sydney Watson held the march for men there.
And Sydney Watson, I'd love to. If I had the followers that she's got, I'd have another friggin' march.
Yeah, it's absolutely. She's actually overseas at the moment, I believe. Does some great content though. It's definitely worth watching. Yeah.
Anyway, we did want to keep it under 30 minutes, but as usual, I think I talk too much. So before we go, you know what to do. It is a YouTube algorithm, so it's click, like, subscribe, share, get the message out there, share this with everybody you know. Okay, exactly. So
thanks, Nat.
Thank you. So I'll see you next week. Don't know what the subject's going to be. Anything can happen in the next 7 days. And have a good night.
I was just going to say, considering what we've been talking about Brower College a month ago and now the recent incident, I wonder what we'll be talking about in a month.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
That's all right. Bye-bye.